locked me in a box and thought I would break. They thought I would crumble, that the walls would close in, that I would kneel. They don't understand men like me. They don't understand what real power is. Power is not given. It is taken. It is taken. It is earned through suffering, through struggle, through the fire that forges the strongest steel. They tried to bury me, but they didn't realize I am a seed. When they slammed that cold metal door, when the sound of the lock echoed through those stone walls, they thought they had won. They thought that isolation, the stripping away of comfort, the silence would crush my soul. But that's because they've never met a man who has already been through the worst and came out sharper, harder, unstoppable. See, the weak fold when pressure is applied. The strong become diamonds. And that's exactly what happened. They wanted me to rot. They wanted me to give up. They thought that taking away my freedom would take away my will. What they didn't understand is that freedom isn't found in a passport or a street corner. Freedom is in the mind. Freedom is in the mind. A man who controls his mind, who commands his own thoughts, is free anywhere on this planet. A weak man can have all the money, all the cars, all the luxury in the world, but if he's a prisoner to his own emotions, his own doubts, then he is in a cage, far worse than any cell. I've seen men walking freely, yet they are more imprisoned than I ever was, because they are slaves. Slaves to their vices, to their fears, to the system that has programmed them to be weak. They thought they could make me regret. Regret speaking the truth. Regret standing tall in a world that wants men to kneel. They wanted me to bow, to apologize, to beg. But a real man doesn't apologize for being strong. A real man doesn't seek permission to exist. And so I stood there, unshaken, unbroken, with fire in my soul and steel in my spine. You see, when you strip everything away, when you take away the distractions, the noise, the comforts, you are left with only one thing, your mind. And in that moment, when you have nothing but your own thoughts, you either master them or they master you. Or they master you. The weak spiral into self-pity, into depression, into despair. But the strong take that time and sharpen themselves like a blade on stone. Every single second in that cell was a lesson, a test, a challenge. I did not waste time feeling sorry for myself. I did not sit there thinking about what I lost. No, I trained. My body, my mind, my soul. I pushed myself harder than I ever had before because I knew that the day would come when I would walk out. And when that day came, I wouldn't just be the same man. I would be stronger, sharper, more dangerous than ever before. This is what they don't understand about men like me. They think they can stop us with bars, with chains, with their pathetic attempts to control. They don't realize that adversity fuels us. The more they try to crush us, the more we rise. The more they try to silence us, the louder we become. The more they try to destroy us, the more powerful we return. And so there I was, staring at the walls that were meant to break me, but I smiled because I knew something they didn't. I knew that I had already won, that every second they kept me locked away, I was growing stronger. That every moment they tried to make me suffer, I was becoming unstoppable. They feared me before. Imagine their terror now. Imagine their panic when they realized that instead of breaking me, they had created something even more dangerous. A man who has faced the storm and laughed. A man who has walked through fire and emerged untouched. A man who has been tested in the harshest conditions and only become greater. They wanted a victim, Instead, they created a warrior. They wanted submission. Instead, they witnessed defiance. They wanted to shatter a man. Instead, they forged a legend. And now, here I stand, unchained, unshaken, and ready to conquer. They thought time would weaken me. That isolation would eat away at my will. That solitude would make me question myself. But they failed to understand that solitude is where real men are made. The weak seek comfort in crowds, in distractions, in meaningless entertainment. But men of discipline, we thrive in solitude. We sharpen our minds. We refine our thoughts. We become dangerous. Every second in that prison was a gift. Every moment was a chance to test myself in ways most men will never experience. They think the real world is tough. They have no idea what it means to be locked in a cage, stripped of every comfort, surrounded by nothing but cold walls and time. Time to think. Time to analyze. Time to master oneself. The weak panic in these conditions. They break, but I smile. Because I knew this was exactly the kind of fire that forges the unbreakable. There were men in there who had already given up on life. Men who had allowed their circumstances to define them. They walked with their heads down, eyes empty, spirits crushed. They accepted defeat before the battle even began. That is what separates them from me. Because I knew this wasn't a prison. This was training. This was war. And I was preparing for the next level. You see, a man's true character isn't tested when things are easy. Actually, when things are easy. It's tested when everything is taken away. When you have no distractions, no escape, no relief. That is when you find out who you really are. And what did I find? I found that I was built for this. My mind was sharper than ever. That my will was untouchable. They didn't break me. They only reinforced what I already knew. I am unstoppable. They watched me. They waited. They expected to see me crack. But I didn't. I trained. I meditated. I planned. Every single day was a step forward, not backward. They thought time would weaken me, but time became my ally. Every push-up, every second of discipline, every thought I controlled, it all made me stronger. And then the day came. The locks turned. The doors opened. The world thought they would see a broken man step out. They expected weakness, defeat, a shadow of the man they once knew. Instead, they saw something terrifying. They saw a man who had faced the system's worst and walked out without a scratch. They saw a man who had been tested in the harshest way possible and had only become stronger. They wanted me to be quiet. They wanted me to be quiet. They wanted me to disappear. They wanted me to lose. But I do not lose. I adapt. I evolve. I conquer. And now, standing here, I look back and I laugh. Because what they don't realize is that prison wasn't my downfall. It was my rebirth. They didn't bury me. They planted me. And now I rise stronger, sharper, more focused than ever. They thought they could stop me. Now they will watch me become greater than ever before. The moment I stepped out, I felt the sun on my face, the air in my lungs, the ground beneath my feet, and I knew that everything had changed. Not for me, but for them. Because the man who entered that cell is not the man who walks free now. That man was already dangerous. That man was already powerful. But this is something else entirely. They thought time would weaken me. Time only made me hungrier. They thought isolation would break me. Isolation only made me more disciplined. They thought suffering would destroy me. Suffering became my fuel. Every single day, they held me in that cage. They weren't containing me. They were building a monster. A version of myself so refined, so unshakable, so unstoppable that now nothing on this earth can stand in my way. Do you know what happens when you take everything from a man and he still refuses to kneel? You create a force the world cannot control. They wanted surrender. They got unrelenting dominance. They wanted silence. They got a roar that will echo for generations. And now, as I walk among them once again, I see the fear in their eyes. The same ones who thought they could break me now avert their gaze. They whisper. They wonder, how? How is he still standing? How is he still strong? How did he survive what would have crushed them? But the answer is simple. I was never like them to begin with. A weak man faces adversity and lets it define him. A strong man faces adversity and defines himself. I did not let that prison cell dictate my future. I dictated my future. I dictated my future. I wrote my own story. And now, the next chapter begins. I walk out not as a man who has been defeated, but as a man who has been tested and proven. Not as a man who has lost, but as a man who has gained something invaluable: clarity. A renewed sense of purpose. A reminder that this world will always try to break those who refuse to conform, who refuse to kneel, who refuse to be average. But let me tell you something. Greatness does not kneel. Power does not apologize. Strength does not ask for permission. Oh, they tried to lock me away, thinking it would erase my impact. But what they don't understand is that men like me do not fade. We multiply. Every moment they tried to silence me, my voice only grew stronger. Every second they thought they were containing me, my influence spread. And now, I am back. And I am 10 times the man I was before. This is the reality they cannot accept. That they failed, that they lost, that everything they tried to do only backfired. And now, as I step forward, as I reclaim my throne, as I take everything that is rightfully mine, I do so with an unbreakable certainty. Because I know now without a doubt that there is nothing that can stop me. Not the system, not the doubters, not the haters, not the liars, not the prison walls, not even time itself. I have won. And now the world will see exactly what that means. They wanted me gone, erased, forgotten. But men like me don't disappear. We become legends. Every trial, every hardship, every ounce of suffering they threw my way only made me stronger. They built the fire thinking it would burn me, but I walked through it untouched. They caged me, thinking it would silence me, but now my voice is louder than ever. I have seen the worst they had to offer, and I did not kneel. I have faced their attempts to break me, and I did not bend. I have endured what would have crushed weaker men, and I emerged sharper, stronger, more relentless than ever before. Now, the world will witness what happens when a man refuses to be controlled. They will see what true power looks like. Because this isn't the end of my story. This is just the beginning. The difference between men like me and the rest is simple. They let the world shape them. I shape the world. They wait for permission. I take what is mine. They break under pressure. I thrive in it. So let them watch. Let them watch. Let them feel. Let them whisper my name in hushed voices, afraid of what comes next. Because I am here. I am back. And I unstoppable. This was never about survival. This was about proving a point, and the point has been made. I cannot be broken. I cannot be silenced. And I will never, ever kneel.